Hello and welcome to the latest episode in our series of Antser Subject Matter Expert Talks. In each episode, our subject matter experts come together to discuss key topics and issues currently facing the sectors we work in, from children's and adult services to education and health. Our expertise spans 30 years, and we combine best practice with innovation and new emerging technologies to lead the way in doing things better, in partnership with local authorities and independent providers.
Hi, and welcome to Antser Talks podcast with myself, Shalene Lemmy. I am the VR service manager here at Antser, and today I have joining me is Sonya Stocker, and she will be talking everything VR within the NHS. So welcome, Sonya. Please, if you'd like to introduce yourself, your role, and what you do.
Hi, Shalene. Nice to see you. So I'm Sonya Stocker. I'm one of the senior sisters in the children's safeguarding team at Dartford Valley Hospital. We're part of Dartford Gravesham NHS Trust. We're an acute hospital, so we cover sort of things like emergency department, maternity, all your specialities in paediatrics and medicine, surgery. I've been at the hospital trust for 12 years now, and my background was before that was health visiting and children's nursing. Our team's partly responsible for training all the staff in the hospital. That's sort of over 3,000 members of staff, and in safeguarding according to our intercollegiate documents, and
Okay.
that's where I've come to be involved with the company here, but I won't go too far into that. I'll let you ask your questions.
No, go ahead. That's fine. But as you just kind of mentioned it, why did Dartford and Gravesham choose VR? How did you hear about us?
Yeah, so it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, that I was at an NSPCC conference and saw the technology being used. It was being demonstrated by the company then Cornerstones, that has been incorporated into Antser. The
Yeah.
scenarios that we saw back then were the In Utero and Carnaby Street, and having attended the conference with professionals from a multitude of agencies, from
Yeah.
social to education to police, I just saw the impact it had. People were very moved by the scenarios, by experiencing sort of abusive situations from the child's perspective. They felt it was quite impactful, and I just for sort of years we've had to mandatory train our staff in safeguarding, but we've often found that although when we're training in the classroom, they can give you textbook answers, they can show that they understand what's required of them and what their processes they're meant to be following. Actually, when it comes to the day-to-day practice, we're not
Yeah.
always seeing that. They still manage what the patient that's presenting them in isolation. So if they're managing an adult, they'll identify the adult's difficulties and referrals that need to be made, but they won't think around that adult who else is in the home, what children are they looking after, have they got another vulnerable person with learning difficulties or something at home. So we often found, unfortunately, that referrals weren't made for people
Yeah.
that staff weren't actively working with, and we were missing opportunities to safeguard young people and other family members at home. Um, and it's been frustrating for us. We've tried everything we could previously, from
Yeah.
PowerPoints to videos to trying every method of training method we could think of, trying to do role play, everything,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't. The message really wasn't getting through. So I was hoping that the VR might be that missing link, really, to really drive home the reason why we need to take action when we've got concerns. What the experience for that person is at home from an adult that's coming in having experienced domestic abuse or drugs and alcohol, or perhaps is coming in mental health crisis. Actually thinking how this child at home is experiencing what their parents going through. What's the parents' ability to keep them safe, to engage emotionally with them, and I think it's really successfully done that. And I'm waffling a bit now, sorry.
Yeah. In what way? So you've kind of mentioned about kind of thinking about, kind of people outside of that patient, so maybe thinking about the whole family. So can you tell us more about the family focus training approach and how the VR has been kind of embedded within the NHS around that model?
So yeah, I mean, it took us a good year to get the funding, being it's a new technology. It did take a while to convince people to invest in it. But once we'd got 12 of the VR headsets, we've got an adult and a child safeguarding lead, a named nurse for children and an adult safeguarding lead. They wrote a new family focused training program. So that program is taking on board the government's Think Family approach that the Social Exclusion Task
Yeah,
Force developed back in 2008. So it's the concept of, remembering the impact on others within that family of somebody who's suffering through sort of mental health crisis or drug and alcohol problems, and actually not just looking at what's presenting in the hospital at the
yeah,
time. And we work very much from a medical model. Our job is to fix people, make them better, send them on their way. We don't want to keep
yeah,
people either. But it's just looking at the difficulties they're going to have in managing outside as well, and making sure that the right people are linked in outside to support that family. So you know we especially in the hospital trust, we can only work within our trust. We
yeah,
don't that outreach kind of service to support outside. So we have to. It's really important that we make those right referrals to social care, to early help, to drug and alcohol services, to domestic abuse services, to put the right support in, to risk assess, and to have a safety plan around that family. So yeah, the training package was rewritten by Gina and Sue, and they incorporated. So we start off the day with the simulation. So we'll do a disclaimer first. We don't know what everybody's
yeah,
experiences are in their own personal lives, and it might upset people. We can recognise that. We training in the past, we often would have some disclosures from staff anyway, but being that this is more powerful, impactful, we did anticipate some people would find it very
yeah,
hard. So we give everyone the option of switching it off at any time. They don't have to go through the whole scenario if they do find it too overwhelming. We do debrief afterwards as well, so we offer supportive services within the trust if they need them. But those simulations, so first of all, we'll show the Carnaby Street, and we'll the in utero and then the Carnaby Street, and that will kind of lead the day really. So then we'll explore with the staff and how they felt about the scenarios and what they can identify from them. It leads us into ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. That leads us then into talking about trauma-informed practice, and in the afternoons, kind of more of your practical things, how to make those referrals, and what the procedures and policies are really. So, but we found it's been really helpful. Staff afterwards, we evaluate before the session, and
yeah,
we evaluate after the session. And I think sort of 90%, now we never get anyone coming away saying that their understanding is poor or average. It's all good or excellent. So everyone feels they've got a deeper understanding. Some of the comments we've had back as well have been that they felt it's more meaningful, the training's more exciting. They really can link together the safeguarding training and the benefits of acting to protect the whole family. Yeah, it's been very, very positive.
yeah. And have you found, obviously, kind of in terms of the technology, is something different? How have the staff been able to kind of respond to having new technology? You just said that the actual films were positive, but have they been able to manage the technology well?
Yeah, so as part of our package when we came on board with Antser was the train the trainer programs. We trained up members of staff, not just within the safeguarding team, but within maternity safeguarding as well. So that there is about 8 of us now, I think, that can use the technology. So it can cause some problems in terms of we've got a wide variety of people from all walks of life and ages, and some of them do struggle a little bit with IT sometimes. But I think as new technology, we're learning what we need to make sure we tell people. But we tend to do it in 2 groups. So we'll have one lot using, because we've got we had 12 initially. Now we've just ordered another 12, so we can do 24 in one go now. So before
Yeah.
that, we were doing 12, why 12 did a quiz, and then we'd swap them over. We actually set up all the headsets before, so we've got them all
Yeah.
ready to go basically. So they'll just put them on, and we'd guide them to what scenario they need to look at to start. But actually, even those that are quite feeling nervous of the technology have managed fine with it. Yeah, they've done
That's
well.
good. Definitely. And I think, you did mention earlier about, kind of first time using VR in safeguarding, and speaking about kind of some of the concerns kind of prior to using the VR as part of that training was kind of really practitioners joining the dots and thinking about, kind of making referrals and thinking about missed opportunities. So have you seen kind of a rise in referrals, safeguarding referrals being made on the back of practitioners going through the training?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at some figures actually before coming on here, and I think when we were first evidencing the need for more and to increase our training numbers, the referrals we have, so in-house, the adult sides, adult A&E and the adult wards will send us referrals for when they've got somebody that they're worried about the impact and ability to keep their children safe. I think 2018 and 2019 we had about 68 and 62 referrals. So that is for adults that have issues
Yeah.
with alcohol and the mental health difficulties and domestic abuse. In 2020 we had I think it was 165, and in 2021 we had 158. We've seen about 80 odd already this year, so we're definitely on board. So
Okay.
that's an increase of about 160% of where, and perhaps you can say the pandemic has created partially an increase anyway in people with issues with drugs and alcohol and struggling with their mental health, and obviously we all know about the increase in the domestic abuse, but I think also that is absolutely down to people recognising and taking action now, and I think it's caused us a lot more work, but
Yeah.
but ultimately, it's staff taking the right action to safeguard families now. This is
Yeah.
positive, and I think the referrals that we're seeing as well, and the referrals that go into social care, whereas before you might have got one line, I'm worried about this. Now they're better quality. They're putting a lot more into the referrals. That this is what I've seen. This is what I'm worried about. The impact on the child is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I assume partly that's due to kind of, like you say, kind of having the VR films kind of starting off the day, and then by the time you get to the afternoon, actually, it gives them something really tangible to think about, and why maybe mentioning in a referral, this is what the impact is, or this is what I've observed, is really important and really kind of crucial to, kind of other agencies or even your team receiving those referrals as well, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, and especially the in utero as well, because often you have those difficulties of a baby not being recognised legally until it's born.
Yeah,
I think the in utero video has really driven home. Although a lot of staff are aware that mothers sing to their babies when they know that baby can hear, but I think often they forget in an abusive situation. They forget
yeah,
that baby, and I think it's the way it's shown is really helpful in showing how the neurological reaction the baby
yeah,
has to hearing, to the fear and the adrenaline. I think that, and then we do talk about the impact of the brain on the brain development, and I think that has definitely helped midwives.
yeah,
And when we explore that, we'll look at not victimising that mother, but helping her understand and helping support her. And it's been very powerful.
yeah. Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you, Sonia. That's been really interesting just to hear about how VR is being used in a safeguarding team. So thank you, Sonia, for providing us with that wonderful information and just really showing how VR has been embedded in the safeguarding training at Dartford and Gravesham NHS.
Thanks, Lynn. It's been lovely talking to you.